So this morning, we're going to talk about the impact design has on our world. And while the title of this is the impact of design, I like to call it the design of business and the business of design. So how many know in this crowd what this picture is? Anybody? Okay, this is the 1951 Aspen Design Conference. So that's well over 60 years ago. A gathering that happened in a field in Aspen where about 300 people, approximately how many we'll have in this room today, got together for the first time really in a collective forum to talk about design and business. And that little gathering, which still happens today, was the brainchild of these two people. That person on the left is Walter Pevchy. The person on the right is Herbert Bayer. And now Walter Pevchy was from my hometown, Chicago. He was the CEO of Container Corporation, which in many ways was the first corporation to embrace design. Herbert Bayer, as most of you know, who is an AIGA medalist and one of the great designers that influenced and shaped our profession, was a student of the Bauhaus and a teacher there. And at the coaxing of Elizabeth Pevchy, Walter's wife, Walter went down and to the Bauhaus when it came over to Chicago from Europe, and got to know what the meaning of design was really all about. And at that time, there was a big conversation happening at sort of the beginning of the age of modernism around the intersection of business, humanities, art, literature, and design. And he had such a profound experience that he brought Walter on to be his first lead of design. Maybe you would call it, in today's terms, the first chief design officer. And the reason I bring this illustration up is today you're going to see a continuation of that thinking happening 6 decades later. But, you know, we oftentimes think that everything new is new, but, you know, I happen to think everything old is new again. And the sort of founding values and principles of design, which were alive and well. Oftentimes, when you dig back into history, these people were pushing the innovation envelope just as much as we are today with fewer tools and methodologies. So I like to think of that, simply put, as past as prelude. Fast forward to today. Design thinking is front page of the business conversation. Design in general, human-centered methodologies of problem solving, innovation. The proliferation of data and information and content is touching design from the crafting of content all the way to how we use data and insights to make more informed decisions as designers. And certainly, design leadership is in the spotlight, and words like innovation and words like the design of business and disruption all happen to center around this grand profession we're in of design. So today, we're going to go deeper on this. We're going to look at sort of the impact of what we do, what that has on business and the value we create. We're also going to talk a little bit about work-life balance. So we have a great program today. We have practitioners that come from the agency world, the in-house world. We have a great writer and podcaster. And we're going to go from 40,000 feet sort of down to ground level in each one of these presentations. So I want to just quickly sort of tell you about the order of the day. Each speaker gets 20 minutes. If timing serves us well, we'll get 10 minutes to take your questions. I'll sit down and have a little conversation that I prompt, and don't be bashful. We'll have 2 speakers. We'll take a 45-minute break, and then hopefully you'll come back and there'll be a few more friends, and we'll do the bottom half of the symposium. So, you ready? Okay, so before we go, I want to just welcome our sponsor. We are so lucky to have patrons at AIGA, and in this case, IBM sort of sits right at the center of today's conversation. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Joni Saylor from IBM to say a few words.
Hello, everyone. It's really great to be here. My name's Joni Saylor. I'm a design principal at IBM. I'm part of a team of about 50 people in our company whose sole mission is to build and sustain a culture of design craft and design thinking across our business. So designers in IBM today are impacting a whole variety of domains, from building AI tools for educators and teachers, building tools for systems administrators, going deep into domains like medicine, health, trying to understand the needs and wants of doctors and oncologists, working through security and administration tools. The other day, I actually turned around in our studio in Austin, Texas, and heard a team of designers talking about the implications of quantum computing and how that might impact our lives in the next 5 years. So when we think about this idea of creating a sustainable culture of design and design thinking at IBM, we chose really intentionally in our program to always focus on culture as a key ingredient, because we believe that culture directly impacts our outcomes, and everything we do is really wrapped up in that idea. So how do we connect design and business in a meaningful way that will really last in our company and in the world? We began to be very intentional about building a productive relationship between design and business. And so we don't attempt to change the business. We attempt to build a relationship between designers and business people, engineers, every day. So we've hired, we're kind of well known for having hired many, many designers over the last 5 years since our program started. Today we have over 1,600 designers working in every aspect of IBM's business, which is incredible. It sounds like a really big number, but compared to the breadth of IBM, it's really not a lot of people at all, right? There's 350,000 IBMers today working in something like 171 countries. So what feels like a huge number really starts to mean that our program needs to be a lot more about non-designers than we had ever really imagined. So when we go back to thinking about that idea of building relationship, we thought early on in our program, how do we introduce design to the business culture here in a way that's delightful and actually a good experience for the business? And so we thought about approaching our program through that lens. So I wanted to just share with you quickly 3 ideas that we had about building connections and creating business impact at IBM, because I feel like both of those ideas for the symposium today are really wrapped up around everything that we're doing at IBM. So in the first phase of our program, we worked really hard, like I said, to build strong connections between designers and IBM's teams. We know that in our business, it takes whole teams, not just designers, sometimes teams of hundreds of people, to deliver great experiences into the market. And so we knew that we needed designers to be not operating as an other or outside the team, but embedded and part of the team. So how could we foster that? At the start of our program, I actually found this picture last night. This was our space that we got in Austin, 8th floor of our building. Not really a space designed for collaboration and teaming, right? But this is how IBMers were working about 5 years ago. And so what we did is we started to introduce spaces that invite the kind of teaming that we need to have impact. Today there are 43 IBM studios globally, and I think we'll continue to open a few more as needed, because what we found is we need to be where the rest of the people in our business are, and we need designers to be right at the center of where our clients are. And most importantly, we found that having designers right in the middle of our business means that they're much more in position to take a seat at the table. So early in our program, we found that to show business impact, what we really needed to do was get to a few very, very good outcomes, a few very bold outcomes, rather than to attempt to redesign IBM all at once. So we did that. We introduced a new cloud platform for developers. We did some really interesting, and our designers did some creative things with, what we might all think of as a pretty dry domain of security analysis, and started introducing, here's what it looks like when we bring world-class experiences to business and enterprise applications. These stories helped us to draw the connection between design practices and business value everywhere. We started to be able to leverage these stories across the company. We did that in workshops and education sessions. We did something like 1,000 workshops, touching 20,000 people in person with high-impact education experiences. But then we figured out, I think it was actually Doug Powell one day made the suggestion on the back of a napkin that if we kept doing that, it was going to take us like 25 years to touch the rest of the company. So we started introducing the practices of design into the company in digital ways and in more scalable ways. We started scaling mentorship for designers so that they could deepen their understanding and knowledge of the domains in which they were working. And we started the company down a path of designing experiences, delivering experiences, and therefore measuring experiences. So that turned out to be a really important strategic step for us. We found that as we started to take apart and measure user experiences, people in our business got very excited about the idea of competing. Go figure, right? So something really exciting happened at the beginning of this year. Our CEO, Ginny Rometty, who's been a great supporter of our program all along, came out with her 2017 strategy, and she brought the vision and the mission for the company. She wrapped it all around this idea of making advocates out of our clients and our users. We were so excited when that happened. So as we look around the business today, we see designers and non-designers everywhere who are doing the things that we as program leaders would be doing if we were in their geography or business unit or in their shoes. And so now we see that our role as a program is probably something more like connecting and serving designers and design thinkers across IBM's communities. We're experimenting with things like building out scalable education and new ways to help the many, many communities of practitioners across IBM to learn and grow and enhance their skills, just like we do here at AIGA. So it's exciting to see the many communities of practice that have popped up all over the world around IBM, and to see pictures of their faces and the work and this way of working really permeating the whole company. And I look forward to sharing more stories of IBM's impact with design with you soon. So thank you very much.